All right, let's take a nice ride down here in the Volcano National Park. We're going to go to the volcano without the volcano and the eruption, and everyone sees that all over the place. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on down there that you don't really, a lot of people miss because, of course, the lava and the fountaining is pretty epic. And I've been viewing it since like the 80s. We used to go down by the water and Pele's March to the Sea, all that kind of stuff. Okay, here we go. We're just leaving this little campground. It's a very rustic campground. If you're like into hiking and things like that, that's a pretty good campground to go to. It's not a lot around. There's no water. It's just a pit toilet, but and there's no cell phone reception. So that's the one thing out here. Just be prepared for your phone's going to go to SOS, and then when you get a little further, it's going to not even have that. So I think next time we go down here, we're going to turn on the satellite. We had that on our cell phones, but we realized it was kind of a gimmick. Didn't really give you anything. So that's just the way it goes. But it's it's great out here, this ride. You're going through so many different types of landscape. You kind of have here like a, it's very primeval. You almost expect some little type of dinosaur to cruise by you. But it's these long, older lava fields here from eruptions many, many years ago with the first trees coming up. So you kind of see the birthplace of life kind of going on, trees and everything. Growing up, the first things that grow out of the lava, like these ohia trees. They had a little blight, but I think they got it a little under control, so that's a good thing. And if you're, like I say, if you're a hiker, there's some really nice long trails through here and places to backpack camp. So you can do that. I have never done that myself, but here we are riding. Like there's a parking area right here you could park at too. And slightly hilly, nothing. We're on small 20-inch wheels, 250 watt, just cadence sensor, no throttle, just the classic e-bike. That really is excellent. That's kind of what to me, that's what the idea of them about. I know everyone wants their kind of scooter and moped with the throttle so they can zip around town, but I kind of want the biking experience. And this is the first smaller bike I've had with 20-inch wheels since a kid, but these folding small bikes, these are Danish ones. God, they're so much fun. They really are. And plus you can kind of zip in and ride places maybe bigger wheeled bikes aren't as easy or welcome, let's just say. But we had a great day. It's slightly chilly but sunny, nice blue skies. And we've lucked out. It can really pour rain down here, so you do have to take that into account sometimes and just have always a plan B. And there we go. Of course, if you're flying over here, you have to find some bike or you can't really bring your e-bike. But we live here, and so this is what we do at least once a year. And this was really one of the best roads. Hardly, like I said, hardly any traffic till on our way back we ran into a couple of cars. The local cars pulled over and waved, and it was very easy. And we had a big rental SUV that was careening at high speed, and then another rental car were there, had their windows rolled up. They were maybe we look funny on little bikes, but they were a little worried about seeing somebody. But that's okay. Some people are from the city and not used to being out like this. But we really love this ride. Next time, I think we're going to go to the very end of the road. We didn't go this time, but in the past, many years ago, driving, I have been. Okay, let's continue on. Just so you kind of get the view of what a lovely ride. I guess, we're probably going 15, 16 miles an hour. I don't know. I don't really care how fast I'm going. But we'll continue on. Yeah, it's such a pleasant ride. And, the way we transport our bikes is we put the folding bikes in the hatchback on this trip. I do have a rack I can put on my truck too, which for a short distance I use. It's not the best rack, so find a lot better one than I have. And we can even put them in the back of the trucks and kind of fold them up. But being able to fold them gives us, the opportunity to put them in the car without a rack. and it works good. And we've never had really any battery issues. Even once, we never really have run out. And it's a simple, you have 5 lights, and once you get past 2, you should think about riding back, 2 or 3, and then you should, because your battery's going to go. So if we lose 2 lights, we know it's time to go back if we're doing a round trip ride. And I don't even think that's happened once, and we've gone quite a ways. Of course, it's a smaller motor, but it helps you find, in fact, I think, if you want an electric motorcycle or scooter, you get those big 2,000 and 1,200 watt, and, or maybe if you're doing some type of cargo delivery, but you're really riding a moped, and, that's okay if that's what you want to do. But we like these bikes, and, I'm a proponent of this size of bike for the true biking experience, and you get a lot of movement and exercise too. And also it's not so strenuous where you got to, pound up the hill in a low gear and all that. It helps you just ride. Once you get used to it and the technique, it's epic. I've kind of switched from this mirror that on the helmet to one on the end of the handlebar. I still like to turn around because no mirror is perfect on a bicycle, a little bit, but then you're looking in the mirror too much. And I don't like to have too many displays up either because you're looking at those, and maybe that's why people get in accidents. They ram into stuff, having all these phone, everything up there. I keep my phone in a little bag that I kind of adapted, and then we bring stuff in the backpack. And so that's working out good for us, and we can stop, we can bring lunch, and here we brought some extra warm clothes because the weather can change, and we brought a raincoat, and I have a couple of those little plastic covers I can put on things on the bike. And the battery's kind of in the frame, so I think we'd be all right there. And the motor's back in the hub, so I think we wouldn't, I wouldn't ride forever in pouring rain, but I think we could get back fine. There's a little speed bump they had to put in. That's because you're way out here and there's not much, but someone still just has to go too fast. But it's a road to cruise on because the views are astounding and it's big. The video really doesn't show it, but it's just big and open. I mean, it's excellent. You can kind of see the ocean down there, and there's clouds, and then when you go down, we'll see. I stopped at one point and got the altitude, and that goes down to the sea if you want the view. There's another little, there must have been something happened here because right here the road is washed out too. There might have been a storm and they had to fix it right there or something at one point. I'm not sure. But the road's pretty good quality, those are no big deal anyhow. And then you kind of come up on some of these bigger trees, which is neat. You're kind of changing, the landscape starts to change. You see some bigger ohia trees. And you get a little more grasses will start appearing in a little bit here. So you're kind of going out of this kind of high lava desert type place. And it's going to change a little bit as you go over here where it must get more rain and a different type of sun too. So you'll see how it changes so much. But look, it's a great ride. It's out there. If you just like to get away and see something different and kind of exciting and unique, it's a fabulous, fabulous place to go. And you have the Volcano House. We stay there once a year. It's everything in Hawaii. There's nothing that's a budget deal. Let's just say you pay what it is if you want to do it. And the food is mediocre. You have to be honest at the Volcano House, but you're a trapped audience. So if you can bring some of your own stuff, it's all right. They have kind of a buffet breakfast thing. It's not that fabulous overall, but I mean that's okay. And then you can just try to find things. But there we go. You can see we're just a little under 2,500 feet here, and we've been going downhill. And this is kind of where we stopped. We had a little break in the road, and I didn't quite remember how far it was and how long that hill was, but we also decided to kind of head back the other way now. But look how neat it is right here. And then the road actually just down in those trees ends, and there's a viewpoint and a little shelter and picnic tables and stuff. But we're going to ride there next time. But we already been having a great, we've done a few different rides in here, and yeah, sometimes it's nice to leave yourself something for the next trip to discover instead of doing everything the first time. But now we're going to go up this hill. You can see it works really good. We're going to get started. I'm messing around with stuff. I got to get going. But look at just the wide openness here. It's really great. There we go. I think we're testing the cadence sensor because it was acting up a tiny bit. That's why we turned around too, is on Uta's bike, the cadence sensor was getting a little wanky, so we've replaced that since then. And I carry an extra one because and the tools, they're not that hard to replace, but they last a long time. It took like 2 or 3 years for it to go out, and the other bike had lasted 6 years before I had to replace it. So they're not that expensive. Okay, now we're going up. You can see that even with this, the 250 watt and the pedal assist, we go right up this slope. You know, it's not like super steep, but it's, you know, it is going up. And it was nice cruising down it though. And then you go, okay, you want to have good brakes, that's for sure. You don't want to have cheap brake pads or anything. Get the good ones. But yeah, it's been a lovely ride. We've been really stoked, and our trips down here have been really nice. We have other videos and a couple different versions of this one, but we're going to be going again pretty soon, and we'll probably go to the end of this road. And then I have a couple other places I've discovered, because we're always trying to find places to go without traffic and cars, which can be really hard in Hawaii. Other places have, you know, California and other states and all through the Midwest and, you know, South Carolina, North Carolina. They have bike routes all over the place that are really nice, but we kind of lose out. There's a little fire spot, and off to the side you can't see it. There's a little trail because there is a hiker's campground down there, not where you go with your car and a bunch of stuff, but for backpackers, their trail crosses this road and you go down there. We'll probably visit that next time too. We were just wanting to get back, and yeah, and then look at this little section with big trees, which we just seen more down at the other end of the trail, but look at the grasses and the trees, so it kind of changes. It's nice and cool, it's scenic. They even tell you there's a bump. So I think those are the speed bumps to get people to kind of wake up. And the other one was either there was a flash flood or something went across the road they had to redo there. Because it can have torrential rain down here too on occasion. In fact, I've been down there where it's just rained so hard, but usually pretty good luck. And this is the middle, kind of the middle of the ride, but the grass is nice. And we're back to the campground, and that road even goes up to not to the main highway, but to one of the main roads in the park, and you could park by there. I think the Devil Throat area. They have a different name for that now, but that's a whole nother story. And then you could ride this whole road. We like the campground because it's a little contained, and there is a bathroom, no water. There is a bathroom, it's a pit toilet. It's a little bit scary, some of those, but anyway, because it's so far down, and you're going, oh God, I hate this type of thing. But this is it. We're gonna stop, get a little water. And we're going to switch bikes because I'm going to feel how Uta's bike is going. And we discovered the cadence sensors every now and then cut out a tiny bit, but it really didn't affect it. These bikes we can still ride, not as easily, but they have 8 speeds, and that's perfect for us. So that was our little bell. There we go. We always wear our helmets too. It's just a good idea. Though it's nice, I mean, in Hawaii there isn't really too much helmet laws. Even the big motorcycles go without helmets, which is a little crazy, but I would elect a helmet myself, just in case. Many years ago I skateboarded a lot, especially in the early original skating in the 70s, before there was any magazines, and there was just kind of an inner cult crew that skateboarded, and you pretty much made your own decks, and you used most of the wheels out way back then were ones for not the chintzy ones, but for like the roller derby type people, the big track skates, they had a certain wheel for those guys, and that's what we mainly use there, are really good wheels. And those were a different time. But I hit my head once, and then I wore a helmet after that. Yeah, look at the trees. So we're back in the forest, and yeah, come on down and do this ride. Yeah, it's epic. I mean, you'll really like it. And visit some of the other places in the park. I mean, of course, you're going to do the lava tube and the volcano house. And the museum's gone now, but they're rebuilding it. So, there's a lot of things, other places that aren't like just the main attraction. And they're even better. All right, there we go.